Okay. So Danilo, tell us a little bit about Fischer's Technology first. Let's get a understanding of all that you all do for the people in the surface finishing industry. Tell us all about that.
Well, Helmut Fischer Group is a group very famous for measuring coating thickness and material analysis. So we have a huge portfolio that covers different applications, and this is remains let's say the backbone for our company. But now we have something very new and exclusive, which is the Fischerscope XAN, so which is an instrument measuring online bath analysis.
Okay, great. Yeah, like I said, you all have been around for decades, and you're global. You're pretty much every continent and everywhere with your products. A lot of people use them, not just in the surface finishing industry, but in a lot of different industries. Correct?
Yes, that's correct. We have 21 subsidiaries across the world. In Americas, in special, we have one subsidiary in US, one in Mexico, one in Brazil. And over these three subsidiaries, plus with some channel partners, we cover the whole continent.
Gotcha. Gotcha. And so today we're going to talk about a pretty new product. It's called the Fischerscope XAN Liquid Analyzer. And I saw this because there's a very large shop up in Michigan, Casey Jones. Everybody knows Casey Jones. They're a very reputable organization up there. And they've got this product. Tell us about the Fischerscope XAN Liquid Analyzer and all that it does.
Well, that's exactly great installation. First unit just delivered to Casey Jones. They are being the pioneers in testing this technology. We have many other installations over Europe. But, well, the core of this instrument is that we really took our X-ray know-how on the standalone instruments. Our instruments are very famous and known to measure coating thickness, but as well in a standalone way, measuring bath analysis on the laboratories. And all this technology is now embedded in a process instrument, which will help galvanic companies like Casey Jones to have a more accurate control online in a very short time. So this instrument mainly will help big plating companies to reduce the cycle, improve efficiency, produce quicker and cheaper, having lots of savings on the process.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Yeah. So really what it's doing, it's measuring a real-time bath composition, and it's giving data back to the managers and the people running these lines, correct? That's what it's doing?
Exactly. So the XLA can be connected to up to 4 tanks and measure online bath analysis and give the information to kind of control panel. And then it's up to the local company to decide if they want to use this information only to do manual corrections or even to integrate and use this online information to retrofit the tanks and then, of course, improve a lot the efficiency. What we see often, and this is used by decades, is that big plating companies are usually taking the theoretical information, which comes from amps hours or amps tons hours, and refilling the tanks based on this information. And in 99% of the cases, this is very accurate, but sometimes not, because as I have a friend to say, well, chemical is not mathematic, and then we have variations. And when these variations happen, that's where we lose efficiency. So we believe that by truly controlling the chemical composition, measuring with X-rays, and giving this information to refilling the tanks can give a lot of advantages to huge plating companies like Casey Jones.
So this is based off the X-ray fluorescence method of technology, right? The XRF, correct? That's how this is all being measured?
Yes, that's correct. So the heart of the instrument is really a traditional XRF unit, and we use this to measure chemical composition on the bath. And this will allow us to measure quick and efficient way. Remember, the main advantage on using XRF is that we can measure all elements at the same time. We don't need sample preparation. We don't need chemicals, acids, or whatever. That's the advantage on having XLA leading the chemical composition control in a bath process.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Yeah, and like I said, collecting data is very, very important, and that's what this does. Which I'm sure some of these shops have not been able to collect a lot of data in this regard, but this gives them the ability now not only to monitor it, but also that they can review data over time, correct?
That's correct, Tim. And this is really a very great job that the instrument can do. Think about how we precify in a plating. So it's quite complex, right? So calculating precification, it's a challenge. And if you have the online data, that means you can have the online consumption of every single tank. And you can go back into your plating company and judge if you are charging properly or not. That will be a unique feature that XLA can give you. So knowing exactly the consumption on every tank per hour, per minute, per day, that will give you a really
Right.
a huge advantage in terms of precification as well, right?
Right. Yeah, I was gonna say, and this is run by your WinFTM XRF software, that Fischer Technology. It's your software, the WinFTM, correct?
That's correct. So the background runs the same software like on the standard X-rays, which is our WinFTM. So this software is used to calibrate the instrument, and the calibration process works very similar into a standalone instrument. And now we have a new interface to control the process. Let's say we can, through this interface, control the individual up to 4 channels. We can control the limits. We can set up minimums and maximums of each element per tank or per line. And all this information can be customized according to the customer needs. And based on this information, we can send alarms and tell, hey, this bath is going below the limits, or it is above the limits, or even depends with certain limitations. We could see contaminants and maybe specify a certain limit where contaminants starts to become a problem. So all these things are now embedded into our XLA, XAN Liquid Analyzer. Yeah.
Great. Yeah, like I said, the ultimate goal is measuring the concentrations, but it seems to me that it really is. It's going to make these finishing lines a lot more efficient, a lot more, increase the throughput, improve efficiencies, which is what a lot of the shop owners and managers are really looking for with their lines. Correct? Is to improve all of those areas.
That's true, Tim. And I see many times customers mixing up and trying to replace what you do on your laboratory by the XLA. I think that's not the idea. Of course, an instrument on the lab will be slightly more precise, or you can do more things. But here, the XLA is really playing a different role. Here is all about efficiency, speed, having real data available to take quick decisions. I think when we look to the plating process, many people is taking decisions based in an old information. Let's give the example, for cases where you send samples to your chemical supplier and then you get the results 2, 3, 4 days later. So these results are already outdated. It doesn't help that much. Here we are giving you the data online. You can see exactly what is happening on the line. Yeah. Yep.
Right. Yeah. And, well, like I said, this is very great technology. I know it'll probably be very interesting for a lot of shops to look at maybe possibly adding this to their existing system, or I'm sure help them improve those efficiencies. But Danilo, I appreciate you taking time out. I appreciate you talking about this, and people can visit the Fischer Technology website and get more information. But thank you again for joining us.
Hello, my name is Peter. I'm working in the R&D department in Sindelfingen, and today I would like to give you a very high-level overview on the new XAN Liquid Analyzer. We are measuring metal concentrations in up to 4 individual solutions. These could be your 4 individual plating lines connected to the instrument. You can use the instrument locally on the shop floor or in a central metrology room. We have different options of cooling, addressing different ambient conditions. We operate it locally or via remote on the large touchscreen or over your network, and we can present the result values on external screens that you see here on the left-hand side, either a large screen on your factory, a shop floor, or smaller screens on the plating lines, or intermediate screens in your supervisor offices. We connect all your 4 plating lines on the inputs here on the left-hand side. We measure automatically your liquid baths. We can automatically self-reference and self-calibrate every individual channel, and we can automatically purge any individual channel. And if you want to use the instrument in different locations, you can use the optional undercarriage and move the cabinet in a very easy way. So let's quickly have a look at the inside to get an overview. On the upper section of the cabinet, we have the electrical installations. We are using industrial grade components available all over the world and with a very long time availability. I just want to point out the individual field bus couplers, different protocols, different amount of field bus couplers are possible, and also remote access. Here, as an example for the industrial grade, the Siemens PLC. In the lower 2/3, we have the XIF with the 4 individual flow cells on this x-axis, leakage detection in a drip tub, 4 individual valve and pump assemblies, pumping and switching and measuring temperature and volume flow of every individual channel. Most important here, we have a completely separated tubing channel by channel to avoid cross-contamination and to be able to tailor the material selection of every channel. Here on the back side of the door, we see the panel PC running Windows 10 IoT and the WinFTM 6, our well-known XIF software. I would now like to show you real quick the construction of the flow cell, which shall show you our focus on super easy maintainability and quick service times. For that, I'm switching off the automatic mode and real quick unscrew the flow cell and show you the construction of it, which is done completely tool-free. You can, with these self-closing valves, disconnect it from the tubing, open the lid, take out the pressure plate, and then you have access to the measurement window, which could potentially rub. Then you replace this foil, put it back in without any tool, and within a few moments you can directly start the automatic calibration and start productive measurements again. And this is a precaution for potential problems. Our operation experience shows that we can run much longer than 1 full-time year without any problem. Now I'd like to show you the software side. This is done, the software is designed for self-explanatory look and feel. We have a large view in the middle showing you different main views, like the hydraulic scheme, like large screen real-time results with a color identification for all the 4 channels, like one set of automatic parameters per channel. Furthermore, field bus coupler output values, and then on top of this, an operator administration, allowing you to give different personnel different access rights to the instrument with 4 different user levels, and for sure the languages. I could switch to English, Turkish, German, whatever is needed during runtime. This is done to be super robust during operation, to automatically 24/7 measure your liquids, automatically purge and clean itself, automatically self-check, so-called self-reference itself, and in case need be, self-calibrate itself. This shall be it for the very high level information. If you have further questions, please reach out to us through your sales representative. Then we are for sure happy to go into more detail. Thank you for now, and bye-bye.